Hey everybody, welcome back to Tom's Wheelhouse, and today we're going to be talking about another area that often gets overlooked on bicycles that could lead to a problem, might need to be replaced. As you know, carbon fiber has been the it material in cycling for a couple of decades now, and we've moved to producing almost everything in carbon fiber. And if you're a weight weenie or seeking performance gains, you find yourself looking for carbon fiber bars and cranks and pedals and jerseys and whatever else. Now, along with the rise of carbon fiber has come this sort of fear and anxiety about what could happen to carbon, about errant cranks. Delamination is something that gets talked about a lot. And so we tend to look at our carbon components a lot more closely than our aluminum components. And this is important because if you do get a crack that you can't really see on a carbon bar, it could lead to not so great a day on the bike. But what is shocking is that so many riders overlook and just don't consider the possibility of what could happen to your aluminum bars. And what's very frequent, especially with those of us who are heavy sweaters, is that we get aluminum oxidation and corrosion that builds up, especially on the bends where we have our hands most of the time, where the sweat kind of gathers and pools under the bar tape. Too many riders seem to think it's a badge of honor to not replace their bar tape for years. I don't know why, it's kind of gross, but anyway, this gets overlooked a lot. Now, a lot of this corrosion, which we'll do some close-up pictures, can get cleaned down with some, mild detergent, maybe some Scotch-Brite. As long as there's not a lot of pitting in the material, this is going to be okay, but it needs to be checked, it needs to be cleaned more frequently, because as this sits and as more of this starts to happen, it's going to start to remove material. I can see a little material loss here. It could just be the anodize, but it's cause for concern. Now, this may seem like not that big a deal, but in extreme cases, it can lead to this, which is a full break. The corrosion has eaten completely through the bars. This is being held on only by the bar tape. Now, this was on a set of handlebars that were a dedicated indoor trainer, basement trainer bike where the sweat was just sort of pooling underneath. We can see we've got another, complete hole here. This side is just, it's a ticking time bomb. It is also going to snap off eventually. All of this came out when the shifter was off. So, before this happened, the bar tape all looked pretty clean, pretty good, which is why it wasn't investigated further. But what was happening on that indoor trainer where the rider sweats more and maybe the environment in the basement is just more encouraging to this kind of corrosion is that it was just gathering underneath the bar tape. So it's out of sight, out of mind, unless you check it frequently. This on the road, as you can imagine, could have led to a very bad accident, which is all the more reason to check your handlebars. So what you can do is go ahead and get a better schedule of rewrapping your bars. This is something that it's not a lot of money. If you go to a bike shop or Amazon, there's usually bar tape that's starting at like $15, if not less. You can either go the expensive bar tape wrap or the cheap bar tape wrap route. And I think you're better off going cheap and replacing it more frequently than investing $60 in bar tape that you really think, well, I've got to get my mileage out of this. So you leave your, Silka lizard skins, Supercaz on for so long because that was $50 bar tape. I love that bar tape, it's great, but if it's gonna improve safety, my recommendation is to do an annual, if not more frequent, bar tape replacement where you can get in, examine your handlebars and see if you've got anything like this going on.